And those are for house beer and wine, starting at 6, okay? There is bottles of water on the tables, have iced tea and lemonade, tea and coffee. You can help yourself to that during the first part for speaking. It'll be sort of dry. And then cocktails and house beer and wine starting at 6, along with dinner tonight. So just a couple things that I want to go over as well. Our satellite locations and our branch locations, all of the information is on our intranet on the company site. So before you visit one of those locations, just make sure you go over the instruction on how to get in and what amenities are available, just because each one's a little bit different. So that. And right now, I really want you to look to your, maybe you met someone new. So take a second and introduce yourself to your neighbor if you don't know them. Just break the air a little bit. Anne Arundel Properties and Taylor Properties agents. All right. And we still have a few more people straggling in, so no worries on that. This new location, also just to let you know, the restrooms are through that little hallway, on my right, or your right as you're walking back, and you have to go downstairs. There's also an elevator for you if you don't want to make the trek down the stairs. It's really not that far, but 2018, we're getting our steps in, so it's downstairs. So right now, what I would like you to do, a couple little door prizes that I'm going to give away before we get into the nitty-gritty. So, and I apologize that the mic keeps going in and out. Ticket number 513402. 513402. 513402. So the giveaway will be shirts, you guys. You've got your choice. We have some new ladies shirts and we have men's shirts tonight. So, where are you, Brenda? Yep, right over here. What flavor would you like? You want a woman's shirt or a man's shirt? Okay, pink, blue, or white? Yeah, but I'll got your color. I mean your size over here. Medium. Well, you don't have to. Okay, here's my mic. One more. Here we go, you guys. So, ticket number 513393. 513393. All right. Yeah, pick a shirt. What color would you like? We also have pink, and I have different sizes. You want pink? Of course, everybody wants pink.
You're walking right in front of the camera.
And let that mic come back in. One more and then we'll get started. Okay, ticket number 513391. 391. 513391. Yes! So you get a shirt, men's shirt or ladies shirt. And I have pinks back here. All right. So I also would like to take a moment and introduce our staff. Again, I'm Diane. I'm tonight, so if anybody has missed, there's Tiffany, and she also does signs and posts and social media and business cards and all that good stuff. And we're filming all of our meetings, so for those that couldn't make it, they can actually watch our amateur video at home in their slippers, drink a glass of wine right on their TV, and catch all the latest and greatest that
It might be a
cover.
little too high.
So over at the check-in table, I have Karen. Karen, you want
Yeah,
to
that's better.
stick an arm up over there, and she does forms and contracts, and keeps you right on track
It's
there.
magic.
So, and her email is right on our company. Melissa, there you go. Melissa does everything. So if you need her for everything, just give her a call. Jamie's there as well. So if Jamie can just pop up a hand, she does your commission. Sure your commission breakdowns correct and all that good stuff. And then, let's see, I think that's kind of it for Taylor Properties. Did I miss anyone? Delia's in the house. She's sitting at the table. She's the big head honcho, so she's right there, trying to hide. Okay, you guys. So, right now, I'm going to introduce our guest speaker tonight. And here he is. His name is Mr. Charles Koski, and he is the CEO of the Maryland Realtors. And he's going to take over the floor and give you some great information about this upcoming 2018 season. Give him a big hand.
Thank you. I'm sorry. And good to see Delia again. She didn't get introduced, but I'll do it. Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I do bring greetings from Maryland Realtors. So about a year ago, we changed our name and our brand. We have a new logo, a new website, and we dropped the words association out. So we are now Maryland Realtors, and that's what you see in all of our materials and on our building and on our website. And I hope you do visit our website because we have some good information there as well. So what are we up to? Well, there's a couple things. First of all, as we know, the 2018 General Assembly convened a couple of weeks ago. And to paraphrase Will Rogers, no one is safe when the legislature's in session. So we try to keep an eye on activities there. We actually have some proposals of our own, a lot of things that we try to promote, and then there's always a couple of things that come up that we try to defeat. And so we don't think there's going to be too many of them, maybe a septic bill, but we're not too concerned about that. We have a couple of we have several proposals too I'll talk about. Our two main proposals. The first is the creation of a first-time buyer savings account. And that would be a tax-benefited account with the contributions to these accounts could be made by family members, not just the prospective home buyer, but parents, grandparents, etc. And those would be deductible for state tax purposes as up to $50,000. The account can be up to $50,000. The contributions into those accounts would be deductible as gifts under Maryland income taxes, and any interest earned on those accounts would also be exempt from Maryland income tax. And depending on how those do, of course, with interest rates going up, maybe there actually be interest on savings accounts and such as that. Well, rising interest rates is our double-edged sword, right? Some people benefit from higher interest rates that they get back, on savings and things like that. We also do know higher interest rates mean higher mortgage rates, and that's the downside. So there's always kind of two sides to the story. The other piece of legislation that we are promoting is a bill to impose rules on third parties who hold earnest money deposits, who are not brokers. And as you all know, of course, if a broker in Maryland is holding an earnest money deposit, we have all those rules, right? We've got depositing the account within 7 days, and we have to account for it, and we get audited, and we have very strict rules as to how we distribute deposits in case the transaction doesn't settle, and there's a dispute over who gets that money, right? We have to have the mutual release of deposit and all those rules. Well, if a title company, for example, is holding a deposit, what rules apply? Anybody know? Well, that's good because there aren't any. There are none. And so I know, but it's easy to remember, but it's easy to get caught up in too. And I'm pretty sure at least somebody here has been in the situation where a title company has held the deposit, property didn't settle, and there was a conversation about how that's getting released. Who's had that happen? And what happened? Yeah. So, and a lot of times the title company will send you to court. It's called interpleader. Brokers can do that, but title companies can do it. Now, most title companies, if you guys may have familiarity with title companies who actually require mutual releases to be signed by the buyer and the seller in order to the release of the deposit. And they do that, and that's a good thing. But the point is, they don't have to do that. And so we are proposing legislation. Title companies aren't even necessarily going to like this, but they should be doing it. And so we may be at odds with the title industry on this. But at the very least, we were also proposing that they at least adopt, as an industry, a standard escrow agreement that the buyer and the seller and the title company sign so we know what the rules are. So they don't even have to place the deposit. I don't know if that's happened to anybody here, but if the title company's holding a deposit, they could hold that check until settlement, or right before settlement. And I've had that happen. People call and said, by the way, if you're the listing agent and the title company's holding the deposit, you're required to call the title company to make sure that that was good funds. Did you know that? The Real Estate Commission has said that. So if you have a listing now that's under contract and the title company's holding the deposit, you're supposed to call the title company and say, hey, where's that deposit? That's good funds, right? That's clear, right? But if the title company said, well, how would we know? We never put it in the escrow account. We're holding it till settlement. There's nothing you can do about it because there's no requirement that they even place that in the escrow account. So there's a lot of things wrong with that picture, and so we're going to be working at clarifying that and hopefully get some rules in place so that we're all playing under the same rules. Okay? Any questions on those couple of things? Okay. What are we up to at Maryland Realtors? A couple of things. I'm going to take some. There are seats here. If anybody wants to get close. Up close and personal. How much I know, right? Exactly that. We have, every year, the president of Maryland Realtors has some initiatives. A couple of things that he or she would like to accomplish during that person's year as president of the state association. 2018 president is Boyd Cameron. And Boyd's initiatives are professionalism and housing opportunity. Those are his two main initiatives. In the area of professionalism, what we're going to try to do is get the word out, and I don't have to tell you guys, you know who they are, you get an offer, and it's wrong, like really wrong, and you have to call and say, hey, this offer's in really bad shape, and maybe the person cares, maybe they don't. And people talking bad about each other. I mean, there's a whole lot of ways in which professionalism in this industry can be upgraded, to lack of a better term, and I think I'm being nice. So what we're going to try to do, a couple of things. First thing is, we issued this brochure. It's a very simple piece. A couple of years ago, it's been updated, and I've left a few copies in the back of the room, and it's also on our website. And it's basically a reminder to people that this is a profession. And because it's a profession, there are a lot of activities that they might not be unethical. Because if they were unethical, maybe we'd file a complaint, right? So they're not necessarily unethical. But they lower the level of professionalism in this industry. And so what we're trying to do is get the word out to people. Some very simple things like return phone calls. Have the paperwork correct. Follow instructions when you show a listing, things like that. The horror stories we've heard, some are actually funny, like the people who made popcorn and put their kids in front of the TV at the listing in the house, made popcorn, put their kids in front of the TV, and the kids used the bathroom, and then they just left. So we have all kinds of stories like that. I would love to hear some of your all stories. We don't have that kind of time. We are also going to put out a couple of more pieces, and then we're going to make at least one video, because another initiative of mine, when I became CEO, and I know many of you when I was the attorney for 10 years, and 2 years ago I became the CEO, and one of the things that I wanted to do was communicate with people better and in ways that matter and that are meaningful to them. So one of the things I did is started and upgraded the level of our videos. So the production value of our videos is much higher these days. I hope you notice that. If you go, because we've done one on agency, every year we do at least one. This year on forms, there were 2 videos, if you noticed. If you got a chance to look at those, Colette Massengale did actually 2 videos, one for the brand new forms and a separate one for the forms that were amended back in the fall. And so those have been very valuable. I know people show those at their sales meetings, so I invite you to do that or look at them or either on your own or in groups. And so we're also trying to put out a lot of better, simple, straightforward publications, like the professionalism video, and also like this agency brochure that goes through what agency is. And this is a very good handout or piece of literature that you can give to your prospective clients to let them know these are the kinds of agency we have in Maryland, and these are your choices when it comes to, buyer agency, seller agency, dual agency, sub-agency. What do all those terms mean? And that's all in here. And we just unveiled a new video that's on our website, mdrealtor.org. It's a 4-minute animated video describing the kinds of agency. 4 minutes. Everything a consumer would need to know, and some members need to know about agency is in this 4-minute video. So that's the kind of thing that we are doing, and we hope that those kinds of things help. I also left a couple, it's going to be more dramatic, 132 things Maryland Realtors can do for your clients. And it's just a very helpful little piece, because you guys do a lot, and sometimes you forget. You forget how valuable you really are in a transaction. And I know for me, when I was going through these are some of the things that sometimes I forget to mention that are really valuable and real service that you provide. And so we tried to put those all in one place. Another big initiative this year is going to be what we're calling the Housing Opportunity Summit. And you can talk about housing affordability, but we think housing is more than just affordability, because it affects, and it's not just racial, it's economic, it's socioeconomic. There are a lot of barriers to home ownership, and there are a lot of barriers to the transfer of property between generations, and the lack of inventory, and the lack of new homes, and zoning restrictions. And so we're going to get a bunch of really smart people in a room on June 6th of this year to talk about everything from zoning to tiny homes to accessory dwellings to shipping container homes, all these great things that we could be doing and maybe should be doing to try to get people into homes, because it's a real crisis. And we know the reasons. We know that why their home builders aren't really building. We know what it's like for young people saddled with 6 figures in student loan debt and how they can't get a house, and that market, and the move-up buyers are stuck, and so are the empty nesters who want to downsize. They're stuck because of how it all interplays with each other. And so we keep seeing this market steadily increasing, right? You guys are seeing prices increasing steadily. I think that's what we see around the state and from all Prince George counties and the surrounding area. But the inventory is continuing to be frustratingly low, right? Isn't that still a problem? And why? And we know why some of it, but we haven't really come up with an answer yet, have we? So we're going to be looking for answers, creative solutions, specific policy proposals that can be implemented at the state and local level to try to get more people in their homes. Because the home ownership rate has fallen. It's ticked up slightly recently, but now they're talking about 4 interest rate hikes in 2018. Every prediction that I've seen is mortgage rates at 5% by the end of 2018. I mean, still historically not bad, but we're so used to really low rates. Those days are probably over already. And so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe those fence sitters will get off the fence, and buy this spring. But we need to do whatever we can to make sure those are available. Creative loan programs, some that help fold student loan debt into mortgages, those kinds of things. Underwriting standards that take into account student loan debt and the ability to pay rules. All kinds of, hopefully, meaningful, creative, and meaningful and impactful ideas to try to get the market where we think it should be. One other thing, I left a couple of pieces in the back. Boyd Campbell, President Campbell wanted me to just mention the Salvation Army, and it's an initiative of his, kind of adopted Salvation Army as a charity for this year. They have a program called Real Estate for Rehabilitation. There's some brochures and business cards, and it's actually a pretty cool program where if you have especially a seller who has some items left in the home that they need to get rid of, as long as they're usable, furniture, clothing, bicycles, whatever it is, the Salvation Army will come and pick those up. And if you register with the program, and all that information is on the cards and at their website, the specifically Real Estate for Rehabilitation program, and it's an app that you would download, and they're very busy, but if you're part of the program and you go onto the app and put in a location, you go immediately to the top of the list. And you get highest priority for collection of these materials, and they promise within 48 hours, and many times the very next day, that the truck will be there to pick up those items. And what's great about this is, I don't know about you, I've done it, if you do Goodwill or any of the other charities that pick up that kind of stuff, you have to get it out of the house and put it on the porch or whatever. They come in and get it right from the house, from inside the house. And it's the workers are the people in the rehabilitation programs. So they're addiction, being counseled on addiction recovery, and they're the workers that come and get the stuff. And they guarantee that if they damage anything, they fix it. If they dent a wall or scratch a floor, they'll fix it. And so it's a great program, and we ask you to consider it. Okay? I don't know, how much time did I have? All I need. Thanks, Rich. Another big announcement I wanted to make is, I don't know how many of you have been to our annual conference in Ocean City. It's been in Ocean City for the last 75 years. And for 2018, we're moving it to the National Harbor in Prince George's County. We're excited about the opportunity to explore a new venue. We did a calculation and put a pin in Ocean City and drew a 50-mile radius. And we took a pin at the National Harbor, it's actually Oxton Hill, and did a 50-mile radius. Because we thought that's the reason if you wanted to come just for the day, for example. Well, within a 50-mile radius of Ocean City are exactly 3% of our members. And within a 50-mile radius of the National Harbor, 87% of our members. So for us, it was a no-brainer. It obviously change is uncomfortable for people, so we're hearing a lot of negative response and comments, but mainly that's inertia. Because people just like, because why do we do it? And they love to say, because that's how we've always done it. And I'm not a fan of that in the office, in my life. And it was an excuse, guys. The first thing we heard, well, now it's an excuse to explore something else. And the pricing's going to be very similar. The hotels are going to be great rates. If you have not been to National Harbor, I'm a naysayer over here. This is good. We're excited about it. We think it's going to be a great overall plus, net plus for us. Again, we have some, I understand. It's hard, change is hard. But I'm excited about it. That's what I have prepared. So I'm here to answer any questions about how it's going, have some thoughts about the industry trends, business models, disruptors. You know, this business is changing faster than a lot of people can keep up with it. It's unnerving to a lot of people with technology, artificial intelligence, you know, bots are, you know, you can probably have experienced this when you make calls to some companies and you may not even know you're not even talking to a human. Because if it asks you a question, it sounds like a human voice, and you answer a question, it knows by that answer what the next question to ask. And that's coming. I know there are some real estate, you know, customer service programs that you call and say, oh, I'm looking for the, I want to know some information about this house on 123 Main Street. And this program, through artificial intelligence, can have a 15-minute conversation before it even transfers the call to a human being. And so those kinds of things, we are going to see this business change in the next 10 years from, and you know, we talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and blockchain, which is the underlying platform, but they're experimenting now with what are known as smart contracts, which are tied to the actual currency. And everything is in what's called the blockchain. You can Google that if you don't know already what that is. And everything would be, you know, in the cloud, the contract, insurance, title, financing, and you would settle this transaction on your phone. And you know, there are so many things happening and so many smart people out there trying to get a piece of this business. Because real estate, if you didn't know this, real estate generally, I'm talking broadly, is about 16% of the American economy. Hundreds of billions of dollars. Just real estate brokerage, just the activity that we do. Right? Billions of dollars. So who doesn't think, you know, when you take the traditional broker business model and you see these startups that are getting this venture capital funds, you know, $300 million at a clip because they want a piece of us. And who can blame them? These are young, smart, they're hungry, and they're well-financed, and they want a piece of this enormous pie. And they're going to get it, right? I mean, there's no stopping them. And so what we're going to do is, you know, hopefully keep ahead of some of it, embrace some of it, because a lot of it we're going to be able to use to our advantage. You all don't, who does business today the way they did 5 years ago? Just 5 years ago. Who? Nobody. So do you think you're going to do business the same 5 years from now that you're doing today? I can promise you, you won't. Because technology and the innovation, it's not slowing down, it's not even leveling off. It's accelerating. And we hope that's exciting for people, that it's not scary, even though it's a little scary. We get that. So we're going to be on the forefront of understanding, of embracing, of hopefully getting ahead of some of it, making sure. I can tell you this. I can't make a lot of promises on behalf of Maryland Realtors as far as, what the business is going to look like 5 years from now, but I can make one promise. That whoever comes into this business to compete plays by the same rules. That I can promise. That we will fight to the death over. Because we owe that to you all who have been in this business for a long time, and even if you haven't, you came in and we all understand and we play by certain rules. These people that want to come into the business and get a piece of this, that's fine. They may be our members pretty soon. They're going to be sitting in the room with us, maybe. And that's all really good. I really do believe that. But they don't get to play by separate rules over here and get these advantages. Well, we're still playing by this set of rules. Does that make sense? So that's one thing that's non-negotiable. Everything else, I can't tell you. Just don't know. But it's a great time to be in the business and keeping up with the changes. And I think that we'll see some alternative business models. There's no question about that. And new technologies are coming almost every week. Somebody new is throwing out some new idea. Now, a lot of these startups, they're going to fail. A lot they do. That's just what startups do. But some of them are going to take hold, and some of them are going to be actually players. Open Door. Anybody know what Open Door is? That's the company that buys a house. They send people offers because there are people who think what we're gonna be eventually is a click. The home buying and home selling transaction is going to be clickable, just like Amazon. Amazon for homes. I mean, when you think about it, the things that the pain points for this transaction now are, getting your home ready for sale, getting offers, deciding which one, moving, and all that stuff. Open Door, this business model buys homes. And they're partnering now with builders. Because how many people here have, tried to sell a home for somebody who's also buying another home? Isn't that a big sticking point for a lot of people? Isn't that a big pain point for a lot of people? Well, Open Door facilitates that by just buying your house. We'll buy your house. And you freeze that cash up for you to buy your other home, whether it's from us or one of the builders. Lennar is now working with Open Door. Did you read that? Lennar is working with Open Door. Now, they're not in Maryland, but they're in Phoenix, and they're in Atlanta, and Las Vegas. And Open Door is working with Lennar, and so if somebody wants to buy a Lennar home, but they already own a home, and that's their sticking point, Open Door buys that home from them, frees them up to buy the Lennar home, and then Open Door resells the house. And they charge between 7 and 12% to the seller. And if the seller's more interested in getting an offer within 24 hours and settling in 21 days, maybe that extra is worth it to them. Maybe they have the money and they just want to get the move done, and the quickness and the certainty is worth that premium, right? So this is the type of thinking that's out there, and this is the type of business models that we're going to continue to see. And there are plenty of others. And I love it. I think it's great. Is it disruptive to the industry? Yeah. Is it a threat to us? I hope not. Because if these people are meeting a need, right? This is what sellers want. This is what consumers want. there's going to be smart people out there that are going to give it to you. Certainty, speed, ease. Those are the kinds of things this generation of buyers and sellers are looking for. So it's a great time, and it's changing, and we're going to change with it, and we're going to be ahead of it.
Right.
So what else is on your mind? Until she kicks me out.
You want to do some Q&A?
I would love to. Yes, ma'am.
Can
Sure.
you talk a little bit more about the first-time buyer savings account?
Yeah, so again, it would be up to $50,000. So you could, so a prospective buyer, you know, my daughters are both approaching that age, a 30-year-old and a 24-year-old. And by the way, we do know that home ownership, basically by virtue of student loan debt, has delayed home ownership by an average of 7 years. So, you know, my 30-year-old just got out of law school. She has her first job. She's about a year in. Typically, you know, that she's a couple of years behind, but she's got to be ready soon, within the next year or so. And this would allow her to open an account, and for both her and her soon-to-be husband to put in, and for us as her parents or her grandparents, we could also make contributions into this account until it grows to a maximum of $50,000. And I get a deduction for making the gift to her. She does not get charged interest on the account, state taxes. She won't have to pay income taxes to the extent that account earns interest. The interest in that will be free from state tax, Maryland state income tax. So that's, you know, we think that will help a lot of that population, because we really got to get them into these homes. We really do. I believe it will be. Don't quote me on that, but I'm almost positive the answer is yes. Yeah, that it will be a gift. Yeah. A gift. You'll be able to deduct it as a gift from your state income tax. No. Oh, so when you go, no, because you don't have to pay it back. So you have to sign a gift letter. You know what I mean? So what the question is, will the buyer have to sign a gift letter that they don't have to repay those funds? The answer is no, because it's their account. So proof of funds letter is just a bank statement, but all they know is that this account is in his or her name. So that shouldn't be an issue. That's a very good question. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a limit of time that this account is allowed to be held? Such as, is there a 3-year term for the account, or is there?
Right now, no. The proposal is not to have a time limit by which the funds have to be spent, but there will be, except for a true emergency, a recapture of the tax benefits if it's not ultimately used for purchasing a home. Yeah, and that's not unusual for these kinds of things, like your healthcare spending and stuff like that. Yeah.
If your daughter needs a realtor, here's my card.
Like she doesn't have, they're lying. Thank you, though. You should know, I should do that just because you thought of it, yeah.
Is there a limitation on who can make contributions to a person's account, i.e. family or friends, neighbors, sellers?
Like a wedding present? A cash
Or
I thought it was limited to immediate family, I think, which means parents, grandparents. But I will double check. I will send an email to Diane or Delia and confirm that. But I don't quote me. Yeah. Rich.
How about a minimum time? Because the way you described it, it seems like if somebody was going to get a gift letter, that will never occur again, because they might as well set it in the account as a deduction. I mean, you're going to buy a house next week, why am I giving you $5,000, I'll put it into your account, and I can write it off and still get the $5,000. Is there a minimum amount of time that you kind of give a time that you use?
I don't know. No, there wouldn't. No, there's no minimum time. No. Over here. Okay, yeah.
About the disruption, there we talked about inside drivers.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing right now for the
that is really the question. Thank you. What are we doing? And that's an existential question when you think about it, because the question really is, what is our role as a trade association in terms of, when you say protected, that's an interesting choice of words, because it presumes that our role as the trade association is to protect a status quo, a particular business model. I mean, what are you asking us to protect? Business as usual? Certain one business model and not another? I don't know the answer to that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I do the one promise, like I said, and I made that very specifically, and to the exclusion of all the others, right? Because I don't think it's our job to stop innovation. I don't think that's our job. I don't think it's our job to tell other people, you can't do real estate just because you don't do it the way we do it today. I don't believe that. Do you? Does anybody believe that? You know, because these are forces that are bigger than us. And at the end of the day, guess what? I just spoke to in preparing for this meeting, I called my counterpart in Arizona, where Open Door and OfferPad, similar business models, operate in Arizona. And she said, both Open Door and OfferPad are licensed in Arizona, and they are realtors. They are members of the Arizona Association and a local association of realtors in Arizona. And so if what you're asking is, are we going to legislatively protect some of our members against the business models of other of our members? No. No. Right? I mean, would you want that of us? Like, we're the ones that make that choice? I don't think so. And so as long as they're playing by the same rules, they're licensed, they're realtors, they're accountable under a Real Estate Brokers Act, the Code of Ethics, and we're all playing by the same rules, our job is not to keep them out. Our job is to do better. Because if they're showing us this is what the consumers want, and that's why they're successful, why would we not say, oh, what are we doing wrong? As opposed to how can we stop them from doing that? Do everyone understand that? Does everyone want to disagree with that? I'm happy to have this conversation because it's really important for me, as your CEO, to know what you want from us. It's a really good question. Thank you for asking. No, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's right. Yes. Right. Yes, and I will. That's a very good analogy. We will not be the cab companies. We won't be the cab companies to their Uber. We won't be. One of the biggest reasons that cab companies were such an easy target is because they jealously guarded their monopoly. So, you know, if you go into New York City, you know those medallions, and that they only have so many of them. I know it looks like there's a lot, but there's a limited number. There's a finite number of taxi medallions in New York City. Everybody know that? And over time, they became worth over $1 million. Just the metal medallion that's stuck to the trunk, you know what I'm talking about, right? And it's like diamonds. Diamonds are valuable because there's only so many of them, and they refuse to make any more. They could, but they don't, to keep them valuable. So when you have a finite, you know, it's just soft supply and demand. So we're not that, and we're never going to be. We're never going to be the cab companies because the barriers to entry to the real estate business are pretty low. The barriers to entry of the New York City, for example, cab industry are a mile high. And if you can't buy a medallion, you can't be a cab driver. So it's not a good analogy. Right? And so, what we're going to do is open the gates. Don't close the gates because they're going to scale, just like Uber did. We're going to open the gates and say, come into the business, teach us stuff. Tell us, help us decide what people want. How do we best serve our consumers? Buyers and sellers, if you can help teach us what they need and we can serve them better, we're all going to do better. That just makes sense to me.
I just want to make a comment. I think even now, people don't want Zillow and Trulia. They want a realtor to show them the house and sell to them. So whatever comes down the pipe, they still don't want a relationship with someone who's going to trust with their biggest investment in their life. Don't think this is the end of the world.
No, exactly.
Zillow has an offer thing in there.
They do.
And they can click offer.
Yeah,
We're cut out.
And will you
They-
ever
they-
be able to stop?
that's right.
You just have to get in the way
We're
to
cut out.
bring your customers to you.
no, look. That is a pilot program that Zillow has, and it's not doing well. Because what's your name? I'm sorry.
Al.
Hal. I said that. I thought he corrected me. That's what I said, Al.
That's right.
This business is 85% of people we know 85% of buyers start online, and 85% of people say, ultimately, I know I am going to need a realtor. Today. So, think about how much we've already changed when they used to have to come to us just to find out what houses were for sale. They used to have to come to a broker, right? I'm looking around for the other gray hairs. When we're the only place you could go to even find out what properties were on the market. Now, of course, we're not that. So what are we? We've changed what we are already in the last 15 or 20 years. But this is still going to be an opportunity to add value to consumers. And they're not going to want to do this alone. It's still going to be a pretty, not only important, but somewhat complicated transaction. And they're going to need help. And that's what we're going to do better than anybody. That's what you're going to do better than anybody. I'm convinced of that.
They want every realtor to be up money for every zip code, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that money being up in every zip code, you're basically screwed.
Yeah.
And Zillow, most of your younger buyers, they will leave you in a second to click on that next person.
That's going to be the challenge. We know that, especially this next generation of home buyers, we're going to have to figure out a way to get their trust and to convince them that, this thing called working for you is a two-way street. Yeah, it is. It's going to be a different model. There's no question. And we are going to have to adjust. But, simple things like, don't call them. They don't use their phones except to text. Don't email them and don't Facebook them. My daughters, they're 24 and 30. They say, Facebook's for old people. How many of your all's teenagers are still on Facebook? None of them. It's not on Snapchat. Yeah, Reggie. And Instagram. Well, me too.
I actually do advertise quite a bit on Zillow, and part of my success, I think.
Yeah.
The trick to answer what you're talking about is, I will meet anybody the first time regardless. I don't worry about what,
Yeah.
all I ask them is, do you have an agent? If they have an agent, I'm not going to meet them.
And they don't lie, but okay.
Well, but, I can't get there.
Yeah.
The trick is to go face to face with someone.
Yeah, exactly.
And once you go face to face and you explain the process and what you do and you take it from, my spiel is from this meeting till I hand you keys. And explain every step along the way to minimize what's really inherently a very stressful scenario when you're going to spend a third or $500,000, as I like to tell them. And I said, you got to have a guy, not a guy.
Yeah. So, look at who's successful and across generations. and ask the young people. There's enough young people right in this room that you could ask about how to communicate. How do you all think about this stuff? And it's different. And our job is to adjust to that, because that's the reality. And we're not going to change it. We're going to adjust, we're going to adapt to it, and we're going to continue to be successful at it, because that's what we've always done. It really is. Anything else? Sure, go ahead,
Yeah,
John.
totally, I'm pulling off.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
Leave us on a light note, because have this conversation, and I'm like,
like right now, there's not much supply out there.
Yeah.
There's multiple offers on.
yeah,
And we had 10 realtors bidding on a thing.
yeah.
With 30 to 50 page contracts. Has there ever been talking to, I got to say, realtors, the same, a simplified way? So 10 realtors don't have to spend 3 to 4 hours bidding on a project. It almost feels like an auction now.
Yeah.
But each realtor's throwing in 3 to, some of them can whip it out in an hour. Slower guys take 3 to 4 or 5 hours sometimes. Has there ever been like talk to like say, hey, there's one page I got.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
page form saying,
Yeah.
here's the price, here's the terms, here's the inspection, here's that. And then everybody submits, and then you got 24 hours or 48 hours.
Yeah.
And just supply the backup document. And you guys probably beat it to death. I've only been in the business 5 years.
I did that for 10 years, some of you know, and staff reforms committee wrote a lot of what you either like or hate about the contract. And I can tell you that I would not personally be opposed to a couple of things. One thing that I would not be opposed to, and I love this, by the way, I just love like scaring the crap out of people. If we went to the New York model where lawyers wrote the contract. Look, I'm throwing it out there because, it works well for them, and that's what they do. Or like a commercial, you have an LOI, a letter of intent, that outlines the basic premise, right? Everybody done any commercial, right? And that outlines the terms under which you would agree, specifically stating this is not a contract, because there's a case of an LOI can be a contract. But so you don't do all of that work unless you know that you have a quote-unquote meeting of the minds, for lack of a better term, and then you can do all the work on the contract. Personally, I wouldn't be opposed to that. How that becomes part of how we do business in an entire state is mind-bogglingly complicated, but it takes you all to start talking about this stuff to people like me, and then I take it back and I say, what is wrong with that? What's wrong with, why should we have to write the contract? Because then you all turn into lawyers instead of saying, hey, here's the offer, here's the term, turn on. Well, I know, so why not say, well, let somebody else do it? Because it's a trap, So there's a couple of approaches to this that we can take, but let me start from the premise that we have any control over the contract. 75 to 80% of that contract is imposed on us. We didn't make that stuff up. Some law said a contract has to have this in it. There's a couple pages in there that we put in there to protect you. And if you're careful and you have read it, because I know you have, you'll see those that are there to protect you and the broker. The rest is required by law. We didn't put that in there because we wanted to make it longer and more complicated. That's not how it works. So, in my own defense, we don't control that.
We have reciprocity in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania contract is 3 pages. 3 full pages.
Yeah, look, I know that. I get that. But they don't have a Maryland General Assembly that passes law after law after law, because they're a more laissez-faire state. We have a paternalistic, we have a relatively paternalistic General Assembly who thinks they're helping by giving buyers look at those disclosures about how many of the disclosures can you name off the top of your head? That's 4 or 5 pages of stuff that they put in there because they thought they were helping. We didn't do that. We opposed most of that. So, look, I feel your pain, but there's,
Kind of piggyback off that, New Jersey, that's what they do, is the agents, everybody kind of submits what the offer is,
Right.
and nobody writes
Right.
anything until it's finalized,
Right.
and then the one
And then-
person who's basically given the contract,
Right.
writes the contract, and that's how it's done.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Look, I'm not opposed to,
Are they, are their rates the same? I know you're not allowed to say no.
yeah, the relative, we're not competitors here, technically speaking. And we can talk about commission rates in New Jersey. Yeah, they're comparable, but you also have to pay the lawyer. Well, in North Jersey, you still have to pay the lawyer.
Okay, well, not.
South Jersey, no, New Jersey is 2 complete different states. In South Jersey, it's your model. In North Jersey, it's the New York model, and the lawyers write the contract. So it depends on where you are in New Jersey. I happen to know because I'm from. So. I'm live in this, so get involved. And look, I love talking about this stuff, and if we can envision a time where, life is easier for all of us, I'm happy to talk about that. Because that's a big part, you're right, doing these big offer documents that, reject it, and you spend 3 hours putting it together, and it's done deal after a couple of minutes, yeah. We have great lobbyists. Let me tell you about our lobbyists. We have our Government Affairs Department. Bill Castelli is our Senior Vice President of Government Affairs. He's our chief in-house lobbyist. And Bill is one of the most highly respected people in Annapolis. If you ever get down to the State House or talk to your delegate or senator and ask them if they know Bill Castelli, they'll say yes, and he represents the Realtors very well. Susan Mitchell is our other government affairs person, and she is, again, highly skilled and very well respected in Annapolis. And we also have two outside lobbyists, Joel Rosner and Frank Boston, who are 2 of the best, most successful, and highly regarded lobbyists in Annapolis. And I'm really proud of that, because when you walk down the hall, or when we have a bill in front of the General Assembly, by and large, everybody who is getting ready to vote on that bill will check with Mr. Castelli and say, what do the realtors think? And if they need information about a bill, they call us, because they know we're going to give them the right information. And, our credibility is beyond reproach, and our stature as an organization with the Maryland General Assembly is second to none. I can tell you that without fear of contradiction. And I'm very, very proud of the work we do down there. Yeah. And they do a lot of stuff you never hear about. Their work is never ending. As much to kill bad bills as it is to pass good ones. So we do a really good job down there. I'm very proud of our lobbying efforts.
They also lobby here to change legislation.
So the rewrite of the agency law from a couple of years ago, that started with just some thoughts that we gathered from classes and hearing from people and all of the other challenges that you all faced over time. And, I can tell you, when that bill got introduced, they didn't understand it. Of course, it was a pretty big bill. And it was a really perfect example of people saying to us, is this good? Is this what you want? And when we said yes, they passed it. They took our word for it. And I hope that you all, appreciate how much easier it is, that you almost never have to get that form out anymore, right? and you hardly ever have to get it signed anymore. And that elimination of presumed agency was another, aspect of it that the membership, through the committee work and all that, decided that they wanted to do. So that was a very good example of our ability to lobby on your behalf on a lot of things, not just agency, but hopefully we can get this thing to get some rules in place for title companies holding deposits, because that's been a problem for people. So we do listen. That's how we get a lot of our ideas. We hear from you. What is it that you want us to pursue? And that's how we get our ideas. So please continue to contact us. Call me, contact me, email me. And I just can't tell you how proud I am to be your CEO, and I really want to congratulate you for being here. And those of you who I can see survived. So if you've been in the business for 15 years and you survived, congratulations, you deserve. And everybody new to the business, I think you picked a great career, and we're here to do anything we can to help you be successful. So thanks for having me. Have a great time.
Thank you, Chuck. Good job, Mr. Kowski, CEO of Maryland Realtors. Thank you. Okay, so right now we are going to present a few awards for our 2017 top agents and our 2017 top members. And I need Tiffany or someone that's going to be getting photographs for me. Okay. You're going to present. Delia, you guys know Delia. So I'm going to go over our top team for 2017, and I want to introduce Diane and crew. So come on up, Diane. Diane Miller and her crew members. Stephanie Andrews, Kristen Schwartz, Kara Schaffer, Kate Lisinski, and Gina Barton. And I don't think everybody's here right now. So here we go. There you go. Beautiful awards. And we have, just in case, there you go. So if I can get a nice shot, you want to stand in the front here or over by the wall, whichever would look great. There we go, Diane. Awesome job. Thank you, Diane and crew, 2017 Team of the Year. Doris, I'm pulling for you, next 2018. Okay, you guys, and now, to introduce our top 3 agents of the year, I'm going to be starting with number 3 agent, who's going to receive a bronze award, which is Norman Lee. So come on up, Norman Lee. We received the bronze award here tonight for Taylor Properties. Or Anne Arundel Properties, pardon me. I know we got a few Anne Arundel. There we go. Good job. Awesome. Way to go, Norman Lee. And in second place, with the Silver Award for 2017, Jennifer Drennan. Come on up here, number 2 agent. Woo! I'll get a nice quick picture. Great job. And our number 1 agent for 2017 with the Gold Award is Rich Taylor. Woo! Come on up, Rich. Awesome job. Number 1, silver, gold, silver, bronze. We did that, in the year of the Olympics, so instead of just doing first, second, and third, we thought we'd just give it a little bit of flair. Thank you, Top Agents 2017. And I want to wish all of our agents good luck for 2018. And now the cocktail bar will be open. The pink tickets are for beer and wine. If you choose to get a cocktail, it is a cash bar. Also, I want to let you guys know we're going to be serving food in just a couple of minutes as well. And for those that have gotten headshots, we have a professional photographer here. You had to reserve a spot, but we did have a few cancellations. So if you wanted to get in to get a professional headshot, just check with our photographer back there. He should be able to get you in. And he will take forms of payment of credit card, cash, or check, I believe. Okay, so we will be hitting the cocktail bar. There's tea and Tremaine Banks. She's next. Tremaine. Where's Tremaine? She's next for the slot for a headshot. Water's on the table. There's iced tea. There's lemonade back there, coffee, and then our food is open as well. Tremaine Banks. Tremaine Banks. She's not? Okay. Norman Lee, you're up for a headshot. Norman Lee. And Wendy Stein. Yep, you're next. So those two, Norman Lee and Wendy Stein.